Duran Premium Cigars, one of the fastest-growing boutique cigar companies, provides smokers a portal into the old Cuban tradition of the perfect balance and the lost art of progressive flavor construction. Roberto Pelayo Duran began his career in tobacco over 2 decades ago in Havana, where his reputation grew within Cuban circles. The creation of Duran Premium Cigars has given Roberto the platform to introduce a series of cigars that offer the quality and construction that he perfected while in Cuba. Brands include the ultra-premium Roberto P. Duran signature line, Azan, Nea, and Baracoa. Duran uses a seed to humidor approach, as all of their tobacco is grown in their farms and rolled in their factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. Rollers have been carefully chosen to carry out Roberto's precise method to ensure progressive flavor in each cigar. Duran Premium Cigars invites you to make their premium your standard.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. I'm here with Hollywood and Rain Man. We're going to talk about getting your humidors prepped and ready for the summertime months. As the progression, that, at least that happens to me, and of course, this is going to depend on where you live, right? If you live in a climate where there are seasons, like we have here in New England, our seasons are very pronounced, often blur together because we're in Rhode Island. It blurs together.
Sometimes week to week.
Sometimes day to day.
Yeah,
sometimes hour to hour. Over the weekend, it was like hour to hour. It's like, oh, wow, it's cold and rainy. Oh, wow, it's warm and sunny. Oh, nope, cold and rainy.
It was hot and cold all weekend.
All weekend. Yeah. It's terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah. Why everybody's sick.
Yeah, and it not only wreaks havoc on your immune system, but your cigars as well. When the humidity and temperature are varying like that, I find here in New England, you need a really good humidor. I'm not a huge fan of the desktop humidor because I find it doesn't allow you to control the heat and humidity. So small changes have big effects because it's such a small unit, I guess. Is what I'm trying to say. I hear that a lot. But larger cabinets, I find are a little better, right? Because you get more room to play around with.
Armenian and Irish.
That's it. So I think like rotating your cigars is important, and this is an opportunity when the seasons are changing to go in there and start rotating your stuff. I'm not a huge fan of rotating your cigars, but as we come into a big change, like we're coming out of winter, spring, into summer, where there's going to be some significant changes, or we're going into winter, is when I tend to do these things. So I'll talk about it as it is today, moving into summer, right? Here's where I would pull everything out of my humidor, essentially, and some of the larger ones, like one shelf at a time.
Right.
Check various things, see what's in there. It's a good time to do maintenance, right? Mm-hmm. Open up the boxes, make sure there's no mold. Make sure that when you squeeze them, they're not too dry, right? Because they've just survived. They've gone through successfully, hopefully, the winter months. And the winter months can have really dry pockets in your humidor, right? Because it's 20% humidity in the air. You're trying to maintain 65 or 70 in your humidor. That can be challenging. So I find towards the top of your humidor, if you have a cabinet, or on the top layer of your cooler, even on the top layer of your desktop, right, those are the ones that are going to be naturally drier than the ones towards the bottom, because humidity, because there's a thing called gravity, right, pulls the humidity down towards the bottom of your humidor. I like to talk about in the case of my larger cabinet because it's just easy to explain all of that and visualize it, right, because it's a big, tall cabinet. It's not temperature controlled, so I have to watch it a little more closely. And the stuff on the top, you may want to rotate, put on the bottom, that kind of thing. And do that. Take the opportunity to do that. Some people rotate a lot more often. I don't. No, I don't. You can put fans in there, but still. But it's a good time to check. Make sure. Coming out of summer, I'll make sure there's mold. Coming out of winter, usually you're pretty good because the chances that your humidor is going to over-humidify during the winter is pretty slim, especially here in New England. So it's a good time to rotate your cigars.
Find those hidden gems and restock your favorites. Geared up for the certain weather at hand or day-to-day smokes.
I know the Belvita packs have taken out a lot of that.
And I think you're right, Joe. And to speak to different climates, right? Like we're here in New England, but you may live in Texas or Arizona or Florida, right? And so your strategies are going to have to adapt accordingly. And you're still going to have seasons, right? But they're not as pronounced. But it's a good point. I should do this in my one at home. In every box, there's nothing wrong with putting a Belvita. If you're storing boxes, right, throw a Belvita pack in there.
Play it safe. Yep.
But it depends on how many humidors you have, or more importantly, the frequency of when you're lifting up the top or the side,
Correct.
and actually going in it, especially in those winter months. If you have one humidor and you're in and out of it daily, that would be different than if you have another humidor,
Correct.
you keep other stuff in, and you're in and out of it weekly.
If the planets align in your cabinet, right? Like going into winter is like when all of your humidification devices like need water. Like it gets to a point where humidity drops, like in September or October, and I have to fill up all my bottles in my humidor. If you can get that to last through the winter, like coming into summer, you don't have to do anything. Mm-hmm. Now, going into summer, like I've got these big jars in my cabinet, right? And they're filled with water, and there's like a sponge kind of thing or a wicking thing inside of them. Like I will actually take those out going into summer because I just don't need them.
Right.
Because it's all about taking humidity out. So sometimes it overlaps that the winter kind of depletes your supply. Maybe you've got to recharge them once during that time. When you come into spring, they last just long enough to a point where they're empty. And then over the summer, your humidity's good. And then you can just fill them that one time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It doesn't always work out like that, though.
Sure. Do you use the solution or do you use distilled water?
So I use distilled water in both of my cabinets at home that have the canisters in them. Here in the studio, I will use beads and Bovita packs. And now your beads do need to be recharged. Mm-hmm. So typically, it's a similar kind of thing, right? I'll recharge all of my beads in September or October, make sure they're good and making sure it's good and moist going into winter. Right, and then coming into summer, if you plan accordingly, you don't have to do anything with the beads. Like they're just going to naturally absorb the humidity that's in the air, and hopefully maintain that humidity inside of your humidor if you have enough of them. If not, you may have to recharge them or dry them out. And it's a good point moving into summer. Drying out your beads is something that you might have to do. I tend to take mine and stick them in the refrigerator for 24 or 48 hours to pull all of the moisture out of them. And then I'll stick those. I'll especially like even in my ones that have the canisters, I'll take a pound of beads or so, stick them in the refrigerator for a couple of days, throw them back in the bottom of my humidor. And that's just what stays there during the summer. Because it's so humid and it falls, it's absorbing all that excess humidity.
Get back to what Joe's saying. I try and maintain that humidor discipline and not crack the lid. Keep your grubby mitts out of there.
Yeah.
And I try and plan ahead for week to week if I can. Grab a bunch of sticks I'm looking to revisit and get into. And
I've been doing that too. I put them in a travel case with some Bovita packs now.
That's what I do,
I've just been taking that back and forth with me.
Yep.
Got a couple of 15-count travel humidors.
And you might want to make a note if for any newbies out there that want to have multiple humidors, if you're making extreme changes as far as, like Paul was saying, taking moisture in, putting moisture out. If you have uncellophaned Connecticut's, take them out. When doing when doing all of your changing, the extreme changing, because I don't know if that happened to you,
right?
But if you have an uncellophane Connecticut in there for whatever reason, it'll seem to gravitate to like one cigar, you know. It'll just get puffy, and
that plays into re-racking them, you know, accordingly, and where you're throwing them.
Yeah, if I make
a desktop, you know, because I have a desktop humidor. I did it for a segment, and then I decided not to maintain it, which is bad, because I hate maintaining. You guys have desktop style humidors?
No, I've actually switched. I have in my office. I have 2 desktop humidors that one I store golf pencils in.
Yep.
And then the other one I have just cigar like bands I like or whatever.
Yeah.
Because with the technology now, these plastic seal cases, you know,
the travel cases,
travel caddy or whichever. I mean,
so you don't maintain a whole ton of sticks at home, right? So you're basically just using.
Well, since the show I've been, but I have I have a travel case that fits at least 150.
Oh, okay.
And that takes up. The travel cases, what I like about it is it takes away a lot of the, you know, you're not curing
guesswork,
it.
Yeah.
I just go Bovita pack, and, you know, in between, boom, check it every once in a while, use the solution, and it seems to do the trick. It's just
use the solution in other humidification device in the travel case. Is it like a bead? The newer ones have bead.
Yeah, it doesn't have beads. It has the sponge.
No sponges.
Why the sponge?
We should get T-shirts, man. No sponges.
You don't like the sponges?
No sponges. No, they just breed mold. Inside there's green foam.
Yeah, you just change it.
You got to change it.
You just change the green foam.
You're right. If you change it, it's fine. It's only going to emit humidity, and you have to make sure that you change it. Otherwise, it basically grows mold on it, and you're just putting mold back in your humidor. That's why I didn't like them.
Right.
I never liked changing them out.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I always forget.
I don't use distilled water, but what I have noticed
You
with
don't use distilled
no,
water.
I use the
Oh,
solution.
use the
I
solution on the green foam.
I use the solution
Oh,
on the
okay.
green foam. But what I have noticed with the solution is you put the solution, no cigars in it, and then about 24 hours later, put the cigars in it. Because,
Oh, yeah, let it settle down,
because
yes.
the solution will do its chemical.
Yeah, it's producing a lot of humidity.
It's supposed to do what
yes.
it's supposed to do. Ooh, I'm supposed to.
I like that take, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I find the cigars running moist. You
Yes.
know, or what I'll do is when I rotate the stock because the 151 has 3 of the foam layers. I'll just rotate them if I do it, and then leave the top one totally empty.
Empty, I gotcha.
And then wait 24 hours and then go. This way,
Right.
it just kind of regulates. You want to watch the cigars that are touching the surface of the opening port, whether it's a side humidor, the ones in the front, or whether it's the one on the top. You want to watch all the cigars that are lined up across the top.
I thoroughly understand. Those are very descriptive hands you got going on.
Well,
right
I'm
there.
Italian. You know what I mean?
You're talking
You know, you want
It's
to
sign
watch
language.
that.
I'm enthralled. Yeah, I'm
No,
just
you
enjoying
gotta-
That's how you speak Italian. It's with your hands, dude.
Yeah, right. This way, if anything happened, you know, if anybody, you know, like they would
Absolutely.
know what I'm talking about.
That's right.
This way, that way, it's
They-
perfect.
Watch the video version for the sign language portion.
Yeah, there you
of
go.
the show, which is great.
We're touching
I
everybody.
speak Italian sign
There's
language.
no closed caption needed. We're good.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Hell
Perfect. Perfect. But I honestly think that's very important.
But I think you bring up a good point, Joe, in that whatever humidor that you have, make sure, and see, I'm talking with my hands too, make sure your cigars that are near the humidification sources get rotated out. That's what I'm saying.
Yep. It's a, you know, it's a or if you have a humidor and a lot of friends come over in the summertime, make sure you put your cheap cigars on top, right? This way.
Well played, Joe. Oh, man.
You see where I'm going, right? They say,
see where you're going.
I kept this one just for you.
My
Boom.
friends that'll watch
It's
you.
all-
I didn't do it to you.
It's all about presentation. You know what I mean?
Now, Raymond, what about your desktop humidors? You have a couple desktop humidors.
I do. I just acquired a third one, and pretty much the same. I used
Once you get to 3, you should totally consider a Winador, Coolador.
I bought a one of those large cabinets from a shop in Connecticut. The thing's ridiculous, and I haven't put it into use yet, but it's 7.5 feet tall by 4 feet.
Is it
And
a wooden
it's-
cabinet? Or?
Yeah, it's a monster.
Nice.
Yeah.
Get
Eventually,
on that, dude.
well, I'm in the process of turning the half of the garage into a cigar lounge.
Oh, there you go. You have
76 train station, and we're going to do it upright. But right now, it's taking up space in the garage, and
I got you.
yeah.
I got you. So what do you do in your desktops? You rotate.
I rotate. Like I said, I try and plan week to week. Throw it in the travel humidor. Maintain that discipline, the humidor discipline a little bit, and change out those sponges for sure.
Yes.
I learned the hard way initially. Until I was educated properly on it, and distilled water and Bovita packs. I double up with the Bovita packs as well.
Yep.
And you got to keep an eye on those. What is it, like a 3-month shelf life?
It depends. When they start getting hard and crusty on the edges, I toss them.
Because when you touch them, they should feel a little bit cold. You know, they're moist. You can kind of feel the moisture.
Yes, yes.
You know, that's when you know you're good. When they're hard and they start to feel like a brown paper bag,
Yep.
time to
Toss
toss it
'em.
out.
Soft toss. There you go.
Ready? Toss it.
Toss it.
Out the window. You're out.
Well, so yeah, I'm not a big fan of the green foam. I like beads. Now that in a desktop, beads take up a lot of precious space. They do make the things that go on the top of the desktop like a cartridge that's filled with beads that you
Okay.
can recharge. So I would highly recommend for you both and our listeners at home, make sure you get into a bead type system or our pure Bovita pack. Pure Bovita pack's kind of a pain because you got to swap them out. That's why I like the beads. A little more economical, I think, in the long run. Recharge them with distilled water. And the last point I had was monitoring your humidor. I don't know about for smaller ones, but I know in my larger cabinets, I have temperature and humidity sensors that I drop in. You can get, there's a million ways to do it. I did a segment, one that's hooked in my home automation system. I use SmartThings. It monitors temperature and humidity for my various systems. You know, obviously you can get ones that give you an alert when you open it, say I'm out of water, or, you know, a visual alert that, hey, the humidity is really high. I like remotely monitoring the humidors with some kind of technology. Cigar Oasis makes technology to do that as well. That will
Decent hygrometer, well worth the investment, and just to know what you get.
Yeah,
where
we
you're at.
talked about the really nice hygrometer on a previous episode. When we did the Humidor seasoning one, I think I linked to it, so go check out that.
Right.
What was that episode, Rayman?
I think it was before I joined, so
No.
No, we
it
did
was
pretty recently.
Probably 217.
too many drinks.
It's 217.
The drink is a good stiff drink.
It's
really
very dirty.
quick.
It's very dirty.
It's very dirty. It's a dirty Vesper. On the show last time, I said dirty Martinez. That's a different drink. I meant to say dirty Vesper, which is the kind of it's like the grandfather of the martini, is what I want to say. And it is gin, vodka, and then you can go a couple different ways. I used dirty olive juice, or olive juice, I should say. Not dirty olive juice, but olive juice, olive brine in it with a stuffed olive. The other variation that I have is you put a little bit of cocktail onion brine in it, and you skewer a lemon rind and a cocktail onion and put it inside it. And the cocktail onion gives it that nice, a different kind of dirty flavor, you know? So I make it both ways, and I enjoy them both. It's a good summertime cocktail. It's not like a martini that would get warm on you. I do mine over ice, so I think that makes it a better summertime cocktail than just a straight martini, which is going to get really warm when it's 80 degrees on your deck and stuff, and then you're drinking warm vodka. I make my martinis totally different.
Those cocktail onions are acquired right in the supermarket, or
Yes,
you go to the New York system, you grab them over there, or no?
No, no, not like the ones that are at the bar. No, well, it's probably the same thing, but yeah, they do have them in the jars at the bar, with the pickles and the whatever else. And the other ingredient in here is Cochi Americano. It's kind of like it's like a wine, like a vermouth-ish kind of liqueur, or more like vermouth, not a liqueur, more like vermouth.
Yep.
And so that you could use a little bit of that. So
And you use potato vodka.
And you use potato. The recipe calls for potato vodka, so I use potato vodka. If you don't use potato vodka, I don't know how it changes it, but it tastes friggin' different. There used to be an awesome potato vodka from Cold River. I think they've either gone out of business or stopped distributing in Rhode Island, or all of the above, or just shut down completely. I'm not sure, or held back their distribution. I'm not sure what happened to Cold River.
You mentioned a
Awesome
lemon
potato
as
vodka.
well.
Yeah, lemon rind. Lemon rind is. I even in this one I usually stick a lemon rind in it, a lemon peel. You take a big hunk of lemon.
I had a few friends message me. They really enjoy the drink portion of the show.
Oh, good.
The full breakdown. So,
So
we'll
if you want
touch
the
on everybody.
recipe, an ounce and a half of gin. I like Hendrick's. A half an ounce of potato vodka. A quarter of an ounce of Cochi Americano. Then it's up to you. Cocktail onion brine, olive juice or olive brine. You do that to taste, right? And then stuffed olive, or if you want to do the cocktail onion with the lemon, you can do that too.
Yes.
I like it. This is one of my, because I like dirty martinis. So
Pairs well with this.
Well, yeah.
it goes well with, it's a great point, Joe Hollywood. It goes well with cigars because there's not overpowering flavors. It's all clear.
Right.
I mean, the Cochi's got a little bit of flavor to it, but it's for the most part all clear. And just that saltiness, I think, enhances the cigar as well. It's why like a dirty martini really pairs well with any cigar.
To me, it comes up. The drink comes up crisp on the palate.
Yes,
crisp,
yes.
but not sweet crisp like a Sprite or
Salty-
something. Yeah,
salty crisp,
It's
yeah.
a salty crisp, and it pairs.
And
well.
it goes down so.
Yeah, it does go down
Be
pretty
pretty
good.
slow. We're almost ready for round two now.
How's the cigar kicking in?
So the flavors have really amped up. Have you noticed that?
Yeah,
like that first third was like
It's gotten
super mild.
It started off mild if you're comparing it to a Opus, and then it's starting to get closer to the Opus balance and flavor for sure. It's kicking in.
I think it lacks that leathery component that you get from Opus, and a lot of people don't like that. I think this lacks it, and it's all about the sweetness. After that first third, I think it really changed significantly. This is a drink talking now. Significantly for me, in that it is very much that cinnamon kind of sweetness, because there's like a little bit of like spice kind of left on your palate afterwards,
Little bit.
like at least a little like a touch of aftertaste spiciness. But it's wonderfully offset by this just awesome sweetness and wood notes.
Wood notes, but it seems the smoke's a lot thinner on the palate too than a traditional
Good call.
Opus.
Yeah.
It's a lot thinner. Great morning smoke.
That leathery component is really heavy on the palate on a regular Opus. I agree.
Yep.
This is much thinner and all about flavor. Still a morning smoke in my opinion.
Yeah, still a morning smoke. The retro hail is good, but it's not as strong as the. Were they trying to make it subtle? Like a little subtle? Or?
They haven't said. I would imagine so.
Yeah.
This cigar is just all about flavor.
You're
Yeah.
starting your day with one of these guys, you're having a good day.
You're a rock star. Yeah, you're a rock star.
Yeah.
All
Great
right.
take on the world.
We're going to take a short break, come back, talk about our Stogies of the week, so stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.